What's the main thing they usually tell us that we need to reduce in our diet in order to reflect drop in our blood pressure?
Is that the salt?
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, do you know what salt is on the periodic table? Like, what's its symbol?
No.
Now, you would think it would start with an S because salt is sodium, right?
Yeah.
You would think sodium would be SOD or S something, right? Or SM. But it's actually Na. And Na stands for natron, as in netter and nature. Salt is the mechanism in which melanin is produced. What about that? So we have a gene called SLC24A5, and we also have that this is a gene. So that's the code for the gene. So let's say a gene is a section of the DNA, and another way to simplify that would be a gene represents a file, a certain file on the hard drive of a computer. You would use a USB to pull that file off, just like you create RNA in order to pull that particular gene off of your DNA, okay? So SLC24A5 is the name of the file, right? But NCKX5 is the coding for this particular protein that's made from that gene. This is a potassium-dependent sodium-calcium exchanger, meaning it's a gateway in the membrane of your melanosomes that deal with the regulation of salt entering in, so that tyrosinase, which is the enzyme, the copper-containing enzyme that produces your melanin, is able to produce melanin. Then you have TPC2, which is, yeah, that it is. There it is. T is 2 pore channel 2. So the T is 2, the P is pore, the C is channel, because it's another channel, TPC2. So TPC2 reduces melanin production by being a gateway that releases salt from the melanosome. So the salt is utilized in order to create melanin, but there's a mechanism that will pump the salt out of the melanosome, and that will create the lack of something being melanated. So you're talking vitiligo, you're talking pallor of certain neural bodies where they're losing melanin. This is happening because of this mechanism here. But what is the thing on fire? It's the sodium. It's the salt that does it. So salt is responsible. Remember what I said earlier? I said salt is what water follows. Wherever you see salt glow, water is going to follow that. Now, why does salt and melanin correlate? Because what is melanin's superfunction? What is the superfunction of melanin? Melanin has the ability to do the same thing that plants do in photosynthesis, and that is to disassociate the water molecule. It knows how to take a water molecule and break it up into its constituent pieces. And why is that important? That's important because of the easy zone, the exclusion zone. The exclusion zone is a phenomenon that occurs when infrared light ends up hitting water and the water charge separates. It ends up structuring into a hexagonal lattice like ice is, that is made up completely of negative ions, and it pushes all the protons out, the acid out, and even anything larger than protons and stuff out, which would be toxins and things like that. That's what happens with the easy zone. And what melanin is able to do is it's able to disassociate water and actually create exclusion zones with the water. Because the other thing melanin is known for that everybody recognizes is the fact that when UV is constantly hitting the body, when you got melanin, you could take that UV and use it. How do you use it? The same way when you was back in a deli at the corner store in New York and you would get one of them heroes or them sandwiches real quick, they would take that big hunk of meat and throw it on the deli slice and start slicing the thin slices so that you could put it on and you could eat it. That's what melanin does with UV energy. It's like a deli slicer. It puts UV on that thing and starts slicing it down in the infrared and blue light and green light and yellow light.
Woo!
So that you can wrap those lights in and you can use that light and not get damaged by the UV. So
Damn,
why
bro.
is China getting messed up and we not getting messed up? Because China got pollution blocking their sun. China is an area that doesn't get any UV. China has over 10,000 5G stations stacked everywhere. And what does it say about 5G? 5G, there's a research paper, y'all can look it up right now. The research paper clearly states that the 5G technology in vivo tissues is able to increase in an exploding manner the replication of viral and bacterial bodies. So you might not even be infected to the point where you having any real problems, but the 5G technology causes an explosion of replication of the virus, which will then lead to you having more fatal symptoms that could hurt you. Okay. Black folks retain salt. Caucasians do not retain salt. And most of the studies that you see online state that people have to decrease their salt intake in order to lower their blood pressure, right? Which is a lie. It is a lie. It is a lie. One doesn't have one to do with the other. The daily recommendation of salt is 2 grams a day. You're going to have organ failure and you're going to have real big problems doing shit like that. Now, I'm not talking about the salt that's contained in processed food. I'm not talking about the salt that, little Morton salt, little girl with the umbrella. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm talking about real salt, black salt, Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, sea vegetables, kelp powder. These are more complete forms of salt that not only sodium, but it also contains other trace minerals along with it. So it's buffered and everything like that.
Yeah, KT, black people, we use Lorry's too damn much, man.
Yeah, that's another one. All that, we don't know what the salt ingredient in Lorry's is. What type of salt is that? So we're supposed to have salt in our body. We're supposed to be taking at least 5 grams. That's more than double what they're recommending you to take. You see what I'm saying? So if y'all do the research and study salt, you're gonna see that. So we're retaining salt. They're not retaining salt. What does that mean when it comes to the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system? Well, the only reason why renin is getting secreted is because there's low blood pressure, or rather there's low sodium in the body. That's what's doing it. That's what's activating the renin, the ROS system. The ROS system is what's leading you to the respiratory and the lung issues. You see, but people that are melanated have different things going on. One, you have the situation where you're retaining salt, so your renin numbers are lower than Caucasians. If a black person and a white person goes to a lab and gets themselves tested, the levels of renin secreted from the black brother versus the white individual is going to be a lot lower. Yet their salt levels are going to be higher because they need that salt for their melanin. Because their melanin uses it to charge, separate water in order to use the water and the infrared that they're making on their deli slicer to create this negative ion layer of charge that the body can dip into in order to take energy from.